problem with Guantanamo, and the president believes, rightfully, is that it incites our enemies. It puts our intelligence officers overseas and members of our armed forces in jeopardy because it's used as a rallying cry.
The president's position was, well, let's just close it down and then find a solution to this. I think the reverse should be true, and that is we ought to be trying to find how to deal with them before we close this facility.
Talking about where we could put them at a Navy brig yard in Charleston or elsewhere. I mean, there are at least discussions happening now.
But it doesn't solve the problem. If you accept the incitement idea, which I don't, it's nonsense. The worst attack on U.S. history happened in 2001. There were attacks in the 90s. There was no Gitmo. There was no war in Iraq. There were no drone attacks. There was nothing. We had a Clinton administration that went to work 3 times on behalf of Muslims. The incitement idea is nonsense, but let's accept it for the sake of argument. If they're incited by Gitmo, it isn't over the idea of the climate, that it's too hot in Cuba, because they would be incitement if you kept them in the United States as well. It's the core that Mara is speaking about. These are people we can never release and we can never have on trial because all the evidence is gone. And Obama spoke about this in the big speech he gave. He said, this is the legacy problem, and he essentially said, we'll work it out. He's had 4.5 years to work it out. The fact that he had nothing new to offer about it is indication that there is no answer. These people will always stay in custody until the day they die. The reason is that in war, you capture combatants and you hold them until an armistice or a surrender. We are not going to have an armistice and surrender with al-Qaeda, and it's not our doing. We would have it, but they won't. And they joined al-Qaeda knowing that. So I have no sympathy for any of them if they stay all their lives in custody, as they will. But it doesn't solve Obama's problem. He admits it in the speech, and yet he makes a big deal about shutting Guantanamo. The indefinite detention will continue, whether it's in New York in a supermax or on a beach in Guantanamo. Look, I agree that the president should be working to get a legislative framework for drone attacks and for the whole war on terror. We should update the authorization that was given a week after 9/11. But Obama said he wants to abolish that. He wants to repeal that. He wants to declare unilaterally the war is over. That is adolescent. It's naive and it's dangerous. It takes 2 to end a war, and if you're going to do it unilaterally, that means you're stopping the fighting, you're retreating from the field. The other guy is not, and your people are extremely open to attack. I'm afraid that's exactly where he would leave us.
This would be a good time to have a special counsel come forward or some independent group to look at it. James Rosen is a lot of things, but a criminal co-conspirator he is not. We're beginning to criminalize journalism, and I think that should worry us all.
We have 2 very serious interests here. We have the right of the government to protect certain information from becoming public. At the same time, we want a robust and full freedom of the press.
Charles, do you think it's going to come to that journalists feel like they're going to have to be made an example on this particular policy?
Well, journalists who refuse to disclose a source end up in jail is not a new story. It's a tension that we haven't resolved. But that's not what happened in the Rosen case. It isn't what happened in the AP case. In the Rosen case, for example, the administration decided, in order to be able to really invade his privacy, to declare him essentially as a suspect, as a criminal. And yes, there is a tension between the needs of national security and the free press, and the way we have resolved that, the way we have split that difference is to say, you prosecute the person in the government who releases the information, but you don't prosecute, you don't criminalize the journalist. That's been the understanding ever since the Nixon years. And there has never been a successful prosecution of a journalist in a case like this. The Rosen case isn't just excessive, it's scandalous.
But they're not prosecuting James.
But the point is, they made him a criminal co-defendant as a way to invade his email in a way that would not have been permitted otherwise. That's the issue. And that's what was, In fact, and the president himself has said that he is outraged and opposed to this. And he even added that so is the Attorney General, who, of course, signed off on it and discussed it. So we can't say, I can't remember, as everybody else is saying, this administration. So we know what the rules are. Yes, there is attention. The administration clearly went over the line deliberately in the case of the Attorney General, and he cannot investigate himself. It's a farce.
This has been a Sunfish production.